I think that anyone that dedicates their lives to reaching those that are overlooked, to reaching out to those who need our help, who need a father, that person, no doubt, is a person of distinction, a person that's set apart. Ray absolutely has been a champion for kids like this, and I think he is absolutely a person of distinction.
I'm just a country dude from Faulkner County. I mean, you know, nothing special about me. I put my pants on the same way you do.
'Cause I'm a honky-tonk hitting man from Arkansas and Louisiana, rocking in a honky-tonk Tennessee, playing and singing, fighting in the ring, 'cause that's where I wanna be. 'Cause I'm a knockout fighter with a knockout fan. That's why they call me the honky-tonk hitting man.
I first met the legend Ray Rodgers in the late 70s when I was commissioned a lieutenant in the National Guard, assigned a platoon leader to a cavalry troop out of Conway, Arkansas. Fresh out of college, fresh out of the basic course, wet behind the ears as any lieutenant would be, and assigned to a collection of men who had been doing this for 15, 20, 25 years. Ray Rodgers was their ringleader, and without a doubt, one of the most colorful people I've ever known.
We moved to Conway, Arkansas from Tecumseh, Oklahoma, where I started boxing in 1947 under Coach John P. Burns. I was a banger. You know, I knocked a guy so cold one night with my right hand that when he came to, his clothes were out of style. My mother and daddy bought a grocery store, 624 Oak Street Grocery. My dad was a practical guy, and he figured if he bought groceries wholesale for a bunch of kids, we could eat cheaper, and we did. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, and I'd eat 14 Butterfingers, 19 cartons of ice cream and stuff like that, and I blew up, as it were, weight-wise, and I had to hold my arms out so people would know I was walking and not rolling. I was in the 7th grade playing football, and we were running laps one day, and I was panting and staggering around, and Coach Bright hollered, "Well, here comes old Butterball." Well, it stuck to me like glue, and I'm still Butterball to the people that know me. In 1953, I took 3 little boys from Conway to box in the Golden Gloves, but they weren't going to let me. They said I was too young to coach, and I told them to produce a rule book showing me where there was a bottom age for coaches, and they went into a little huddle and figured out there wasn't any criteria age-wise to be a boxing coach, so that started my career in February of 1953 of being a coach, and I've been coaching ever since. I joined the Army in 1959. I went on a program that you went in for 6 months and then you came out and you owed them 6 years in the Guard, but I stayed in 25 years. Retired from Troop E, 151st Armored Cav in Conway. I was a tank commander and a platoon sergeant, and I reveled in taking care of my men. That was my first objective as a sergeant, was to take care of the guys in my platoon, and I think I did a good job of it.
Ray was part of the old guard back in the day when guys grew up together, trained a weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. It was about family and camaraderie. It was also about fun, and no one had more of it than Ray. But he was also a natural leader of men, a hard charger who knew what it took to perform at your very best. He took those same skills to the ring, leading countless youngsters to a better path. Along the way, he became Mr. Boxing in the state of Arkansas.
I've run a gym in the Little Rock area and North Little Rock area for bumping up against 50 years. Boxing is important. Education for youngsters is much more important. In a literal sense, if they don't get an education, they'll be digging ditches the rest of their life. And I believe that.
He absolutely strives to make sure that they go as far as they possibly can to educate themselves and learn how to make their living with this and not these.
Sometimes there's not the attention given to studies, and so some of these kids struggle. So if you can tie education opportunities and requirements. You've got to do this before you can go do this. I think it works very well.
It's sad that I have to say that people like Ray Rodgers are so rare, because there should be more people like him, more people willing to give of themselves. You know, a wise man once said the best way to feel good about yourself is to help others. And it's true, but the people nowadays don't seem to experience that.
This young man up here, in loving memory of Cleon Perkins, and he's a young man I lost to the street. He and another kid were trying to rob a liquor store, and they had a gun on this guy right here. There was a guy down at the end with a sawed-off shotgun. 2 lives wasted for no reason, and I thought I had him won over. He was 14 years old. They found his mother in jail for selling drugs, and she was 27. So, I mean, you see, that's the kind of youngster that we try to mentor and try to take care of, and sometimes it doesn't always work, but we give it our best shot, and that's all I can do.
Ray's passion for boxing is matched only by his tireless dedication to coaching and mentoring kids. It's been 70+ years in the gym and countless miles on the road, shuttling from one event to the next.
First, let me thank all of you coaches for being here and all the hard work you do year-round, year after year after year.
I've been with the Silver Glove 40 years. I've been president of the National Silver Gloves for 38 years. Finest program in America from 8 to 15-year-old youngsters. And I was president of the National Golden Gloves 10 years, and I worked hard at it, and they wanted me to take another 2-year term, and I said, guys, I'm worn out.
He's held every office in amateur boxing that there is, and is known throughout the country, throughout the United States, as just a great coach, great boxing coach, and a great mentor to young men.
As recently as a couple of years ago, I asked them if I could resign, and they said, we want you to be president for life.
He's like a Timex. He just keeps ticking. Just when you think he's on his last leg, nope, wind him up, he's going again, so.
When I started with Silver Gloves, there was 5 states involved. Now then, we're from coast to coast and border to border.
Thank you for watching, sir.
Good job, son. Good job. I'm proud of you. You know that, don't you?
Thank you. I appreciate everything.
Let's win this whole thing. Will you want to?
Let me know, sir. Thank you.
If you looked at the bout sheet, there were kids from everywhere. Hawaii, Alaska, California. As a matter of fact, I don't think that there was a state in the United States that wasn't represented. It's hard to believe that this is the National Silver Gloves 50th year.
I would hate to think what amateur boxing would be without Ray Rodgers.
I thank each and every one of you for all the hard work that you do each and every year, because not only do I not get paid, but nobody here gets paid. This is strictly a volunteer organization.
Through the years, he's become the godfather of boxing.
Silver Gloves has a staff of folks that are second to no one, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
He is the glue that holds everything together.
Because of the belief and support of all of our state and regional directors, we still have a strong and viable junior boxing program.
He's kind of a stickler on making sure everybody stays by the rules. Now, every now and then we get some coaches who want to try to bend it a little bit, and Ray, nope. So yeah, Ray, we look at him, a lot of the coaches look up to him to make sure everybody's on track with what should be right, make sure it's safe for the kids.
60 pounds, 3 entries, Cash Cavender, Gillespie, Shannon Williams, Morrison, and Kingston.
The winner, in the red corner, Shannon Williams.
My history with the Shannon Williams family goes a long ways back.
You made it?
Oh no, look here. Come here. I want you to see it, son. Step back over here, son. He boxed for me. I coached his daddy. 40 years ago in the Golden Glove.
How are you? Doing good, doing good.
Shannon the Cannon.
Yeah. Do that, huh?
The fact that it caught him by surprise tells me that he has not been monitoring the weight like he should have been.
Work it. Throw it out there. 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 Throw it. Throw it. Run. My name is Shannon Williams, Jr., and my son, Shannon Williams III. I get excited. But I get scared sometimes because he's my son. But I trust that what I started him, putting him, gonna pay off, you know. I believe. I make sure he's believing in himself too, so he'll be all right. Run with you? I'm an old man, come on. Come on, let's run, come on, hold my hand. Let's go. Come on. Run, come on. Come on. Come on.
He worked that youngster hard, and I'm not being critical because he's a coach and a dad. Sometimes that doesn't mix very well.
You ain't tired? All right. Get that in your mind. See your mind off from being tired. Get in your mind, okay? In your mind. Push up. Mount climbers. Mount climbers.
It's a health issue making a youngster like that lose a lot of weight in a hurry.
How many you got to lose? A pound and a half. Cut his hair. Cut his hair? Just cut his hair off.
It's all right 2 or 3 days in advance to sweat that weight off of him, or we call it drying out. And it's the easy way to do it.
Draw. Oh, shoot. How you make it, man?
Step on here, son. 60.5 pounds, that's it. It breaks my heart. I mean, there's no question. You know, you want to reach out and say, well, let me wring the water out of you or something, but you just have to go with what you have to go. You know, we have honor system and traditions that have to be upheld, and one of them is making weight.
Ray's impact on amateur boxing is unparalleled. Much of the sport's growth is owed to his personal commitment of time and resources. In order to finance his passion, he's picked up some side work. Well, that's a modest term for it. Through the years, he's earned a reputation as being one of the best cutmen in boxing and has worked the corners of the sport's greatest champions.
Back in the day when I was boxing and coaching, we could work in the corner just like we do in the pros nowadays. If you lost your mouthpiece, in the old days, the referee kicked it out of the ring. If you've seen them now, they go to the corner and wash it and put it back in. No, sir. I've got a cut right here where that tooth came all the way through here. Took 16 stitches to close it up. And you learn by hands-on, and that's how I learned to be a cut man, or as I call myself, a laceration management specialist.
My first opportunity to observe him was one of my boxers, and he got part of his ear torn off from a punch because we didn't have headgear, wasn't wearing headgear back then. Ray said, I got it, and he laid him on the table over there and he sewed him up, and if you see Keith now, you'll never know it ever got tore off.
We believe in voodoo. Old cut men, most of them are dead now, and I've outlived nearly every one of them. But we used to trade secrets, but we wouldn't let the young guys in. We'd tell them, if you want to learn how to do it, you learn like we did, at ringside, working fights.
12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world.
You know, Jermaine, when we fought Bernard Hopkins the first time, he got a cut in the top of his head, which is one of the toughest ones in the world. My guys in the corner got a little shaky. I said, guys, if we can get him back to the corner, I'll take care of it.
The blood continues to flow from the cut on top of Jermaine Taylor's head because of the placement of that cut on top of the skull, Roy. I'm not sure they'll be able to stop that bleeding.
I don't think they will either.
They never made that statement again. After he came back to the corner, I worked feverishly, got it pretty well subdued. It leaked a little bit, but it never bled, really, like it did initially. At the end of the bout, it took 16 stitches to close it. Jermaine even publicly thanked me for keeping him in the fight, and I thought that was a nice gesture on his part. I've been to Berlin, Dusseldorf, Hong Kong, Amsterdam, Tokyo, Belfast 4 times, London 3 or 4 times, Glasgow, Scotland, you name it. In all of the bouts that I've worked as a cut man, I have never, ever had a boxer lose on anything I was supposed to take care of. I know what to do, I know how to do it, and I know when to do it. Over 70 years, I've perfected my craft pretty well.
Devalued by some, but not by George Foreman, who says he'll take it.
Everyone that'll tell you, that's talked to me any length of time, will tell you I'm not a big fan of professional boxing. And I don't want any kid I train to be a pro fighter. I have kids come to the door of this gym and say, well, I want to train to be a pro. You need to go somewhere else. I don't even let them in the door. I say, you need to go somewhere else. I have seen so many kids, I've had them steal boxers from me. They take them out, get them beat, they wring the dollar bills out of them. When they're no longer useful and they're punchy and walking around talking to themselves, they're gone. They just leave them and go get them another one. To get anything out of anything, you've got to put everything into it. I mean, you can't slack. Boxing, if you slack, you'll get hurt. And I want that shadow boxing, 5 rounds, at least 5 rounds. You know, you can do jumping jacks and all that out here till the world looks level. And that's conditioning, but that doesn't teach you to box. And boxing is a sport that takes a lot of repetitive stuff. You have to do it over and over and over again. And if you've noticed some of our workouts, they're pretty strenuous. But these youngsters go through it without any grumbling. They just do what we tell them. Guy throws it out here. You stay here and block it like this. Push it. And a lot of times, if he's got a lot of momentum, he'll lose his balance, and then you jump right on him. By the time he gets straightened up again, you've hit him 4 times, right? Maybe 5. I've trained literally thousands. I mean, I could not tell you how many, because I don't keep records on it. Slip, that's called a slip, son. You're slipping. You're slipping right there. Same way here, you're slipping. Out of the way, and then when you slip, you counter. You come right back with something, bam, bam, bam. You know, I know some guys keep up with wins, losses, and knockouts and all that. That's not my deal. Anytime I can work with a youngster, it's important to me. He'll be the next national Golden Glove champion from Arkansas. I believe that. I've got total faith and confidence in his skills, his moxie, his intelligence, and his athletic ability. He's got all the tools to make this work. As long as I can help these kids and help them win some bouts and help their self-esteem and build them up, that's what I'm all about. I got you. Am I keeping you awake? All right. Everything that I have or hope to have is in the hands of the Lord. I'm in that church every Sunday. The Lord has blessed me, you know. I lost a daughter to brain cancer. And I had a lot of problems coping with that. But he let me keep her 10 years after the doctor told me she didn't have a chance.
When my sister got cancer, my father got down on his knees and he made a deal with God and said that, you know, if you will allow her to see her children grown, I will allow you to use me as a tool any way you need. She finally passed. I think it was 10 years after he made that deal, but it was enough to impact even me and my own spiritual beliefs, you know. I'll tell you what, anybody that doesn't believe in God or Jesus needs to talk to Ray Rodgers about that story.
I don't think there's any doubt that Ray Rodgers is one of the best men I know. He has dedicated his life to reaching those that others overlook. Kids in the inner city, in the projects. There are so many men that I think one day, whether on earth or in heaven, are going to come up to Ray and say, thank you for what you've done in my life.
We get kids off the street, we help kids. I mean, you know, nobody ever gets paid. I mean, boxing has probably cost Ray $250,000.
I've spent close to 70 years doing what I love, and they can't take that away from me.
It's rewards of seeing a young man grow up, have a family, and be successful in life. That's more rewarding than money.
It's been a benefit because anytime you help a kid, it's a benefit. You know, if I had to take my last dollar out of my pocket to help a kid eat a meal, I would. But no way would I think I've sacrificed. I've taken a lot of time, but it's not sacrificed. I have no regrets, none. Every time I corner a kid is my proudest moment.
He's just a fine guy and the kind of man you would want to have as a coach, whether it's boxing, football, or anything else. He has the right attitude.
There will come a time in every single boxer's life where they will never need to put on those gloves again, but there will never come a time where they won't need their education. And that's his legacy.
It's all on you. So you give me some help going up there, so we'll make you wait, all right, without any muss, fuss, or strain, all right?
Yes, sir.
And we're going to win us a national championship. I'm proud of the way you're working, and Coach will see you up there tomorrow night, okay?
All right.
Okay. Put her there.
Oh, son, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing
It's kind of surreal in a way, because, you know, I didn't really think I'd end up back here, you know, or at least this late in time. And to see Ray and everybody doing well in the gym and all that, it's just kind of nice.
Let's see if you still got it. Yep.
Still remember how to turn the shoulder.
Right, and what did
He hadn't changed a bit. He doesn't even look any different. He looks the same as it was, you know, 25 years ago. That's my little guy.
Oh.
I would trust my kid in here with Ray any day of the week.
Is he left-handed or right-handed?
Right.
Right-handed, okay, so you know fundamentally what to do.
Oh, yeah.
The essentials are the same. They don't ever change.
Because I even showed him that trick you showed me when I first started.
Which one was it?
When you're standing flat-footed and you push the hand.
Standing right over there. Son, that's going to get you killed right there. You get like you'd get if you were going to box. All right, now. Look here. Now bring your feet up like you had them then. No, like you had it. No, like this. This is where you were. See, you have no balance at all, son. You've got to keep those feet just like this. Okay? Please work on that. That's going to get us in trouble.
The one thing I remember is he was serious about our training, but he was funny. He made it fun.
When you throw punches today, it's for everything. You remember, it's for all the marbles. All the training's over. All the training's over. This is the real deal.
That's why I'm ready to win.
Let's go put your head guard on.
I always tell people that boxing doesn't make character, it exposes it. How do you think that your time in my gym helped you?
Really, it taught me not how to lose, but how to take a loss and come back from it.
You're going to have to really dig in. You're going to have to dig in.
It's kind of a full circle.
It is
in a
full
sense.
circle.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a full circle. And we just, let's just continue to do this.
Oh yeah, not a problem. It's good to see you.
Oh yeah. Of course, at my age, it's good to see anybody.
Well, you're right. I couldn't honestly see Ray doing anything else. You know, maybe a comedian.
You know what that's for, don't you?
Yeah, we just telling you.
Don't give me any crap.
That is right there. It's right there.
And of course, the best thing about Ray, if you know Ray, I mean, he could be a stand-up comic. He's so whimsical and has something clever to say about everything. And he's kind of the Will Rodgers of boxing.
Repartee is what I call it, and I try to keep people alert by a little, sometimes they're gigs and sometimes they're just little humorisms. and I made that word up.
I have seen him use that humor of his to disarm someone, even in a stressful situation. It's hard to be upset with someone when you're having to laugh at something silly that they've said or done.
Hey Ben, how old are you now? Do you know when I was your age I was 14? Who told you?
I think he probably has a comeback or a one-liner for anything. You know, where he gets them, I have no idea.
I get asked all the time, well, how do you remember all that stuff? Where'd you hear all of it? And they think that I've got some book at home, I think, that I read. This is all life experience.
A champion is often defined as a winner, but he can also be a tireless advocate for others. Ray Rodgers has spent a lifetime as both. Years ago, Ray gave me his business card. If you ever bump into him, you'll probably get one too. And as you would expect, it's unconventional, it's funny, and it's one of a kind, just like the man himself.
I think it pretty well summarizes what I do. Cuts fixed, boxing taught, duels seconded, uprisings quelled. I mean, come on. You got a guy right here that can do it all. And I moved to Arkansas and raised the IQ in both states. My jab was so good that the judges thought the other guy was sucking my thumb. That's why the Pope raised the urinals in the Vatican, was to keep the guys in the Vatican on their toes. So, I mean, after I knocked him off the porch about 6 times, he felt like he had taught me all he could. You probably didn't know I was poetical, but I am. I don't think that one was ever published.